Welcome to our webinar. Today we are talking about SAP S for HANA and SAP BW for HANA, how to switch. Our presenter today is Chris Siwiec, Business Development Manager.
So hello everybody, my name is Chris Siwiec and in this I'm Business Development Manager responsible for financials and business intelligence, including SAP HANA platform. And today I'll talk about SAP S for HANA and SAP BW for HANA solutions. I'll start with a bit of introduction of the solution, of their history, of their predecessors. Then I'll talk about the two solutions in detail. I'll go through all pros for the new solutions. I'll present some demo of the new systems. Then I'll talk about migration paths and some cons as well, based on our experience as an SAP implementing company. And of course, we'll sum up everything at the end. Let's start. All that I'll be talking today is based on SAP HANA platform. SAP HANA platform is a new platform, new from 3 years now, based entirely on memories. So all the processing is done in RAM memory instead of on disks. So everything is quicker and not only quicker, it's done a bit differently. SAP HANA database stores data differently. It stores data in a column mode, so that data is easily aggregable. It's easy to aggregate data, and accessing the data can be done much quicker. And by basing on this platform, especially on SAP HANA database, SAP provided two solutions, I would say intermediary solutions, SAP BW powered by SAP HANA and SAP ERP powered by SAP HANA. These are just BW data warehouse migrated to SAP HANA database and SAP ERP system migrated to SAP HANA database. So in fact, these are not entirely new products, but products migrated to the new database. But since the database is entirely different, the products are changed as well. So in the case of business warehouse, the data warehouse by SAP, the performance increases radically. In fact, the data footprint in performance, the extraction of data for reporting can be done after migrating to SAP HANA database for BW from 100 to 1,000 times quicker. So, of course, for small reports, it doesn't make any difference whether the report is executed within 1 second or 1 second and a half, because usually sometime it takes to refresh the visual interface. But when the reports are really huge and there is a lot of data that is processed, then the performance is really a key factor, and with SAP BW powered by SAP HANA, reporting such huge report can be done online and very, I would say, user-friendly, so that the user can drill down in reports instead of putting reports as batch jobs and just printing them afterwards. Okay, and for SAP powered by SAP HANA, it's also quicker, not that radically as BW powered by SAP HANA, because Transactional processing is not that much the increase in performance is not that big, but usually transactions can be executed from a few times to several times quicker than before the migration, and especially the reporting on ERP system can be radically quicker and better. What's more important, also there is no cluster tables anymore. There are no cluster tables anymore, so database can be accessed and reported on for SAP ERP powered by SAP HANA. So these are two intermediary systems introduced by SAP, and one can easily migrate to them. So that's the advantage of these systems. But these are not the end world of SAP. In fact, SAP introduced entirely new system, both data warehouse and ERP system, that take full advantage of SAP HANA platform. These are SAP S for HANA new ERP system and SAP BW for HANA new data warehouse system. SAP S for HANA, it's, as I said, totally new ERP system in which data structures were completely remodeled. So the old tables in which data was stored do not exist anymore. Instead, SAP introduced new tables, simple data structure, and integrated additional modules, additional add-ons within S4HANA, added some new reporting system, and of course a new user interface, SAP Fiori, based on HTML5. S4HANA includes reorganized financials and logistic areas. Everything is changed, but from the user perspective, the scope of the system is the same as before, and sometimes broader, because there are some new modules, some new add-ons that can be used with S4HANA. As for BW for HANA, this system is, I would say, mostly simplified. It uses SAP HANA objects. It's more performant even than SAP BW powered by SAP HANA. And it uses also a new reporting interface, new Design Studio, new Analysis for Office or Business Object Cloud. As we look at milestones in SAP product development, we can start from R2 mainframe system, then the R3 client-server system. It was a huge step forward. The changed architecture and using PC as well as at the server side. Then the introduction of NetWeaver extended SAP capabilities. For example, Java Stack was something new added with this version. And now SAP is introducing new products, SAP ERP BW powered by SAP HANA as the intermediary step, and S4HANA and BW for HANA as the entirely new, brand new products. So why is it worth talking about S4HANA? The first, when we think about this system, is the simplification. In fact, within 30 years of developing ERP system, the table structures inside the ERP system got really complex. SAP usually did not remove tables, only added some or a new module or new function was added. Therefore, the complexity of internal tables in standard SAP ERP system is very high. There's a lot of exceptions when you join the tables. So, for example, reporting with SQL queries on standard SAP system was almost impossible because the data structure was so complex, and the data was also preserved redundant. For example, there were separate tables for line items and for summarized data. And all the tables needed to be updated when a new document, for example, was being posted. So simplifying these table structures influences both the system in many ways, but of course it drives the performance. So everything is quicker, both transactional processing and reporting. As I said, S/4HANA is not only performance, it's a new system, and some of the components that had to be installed as a separate system can now be integrated as add-ons to S/4HANA system. So, for example, extended warehouse management or advanced planning and optimizing APO system or transport management can be added as add-ons to the S/4HANA system and do not need to be installed on a separate server and integrated with interfaces. S/4HANA contains also a lot of new functionalities built into the system. For example, new cash management in financials, for example, planning and consolidation that is integrated with all the financial logistic models, and it's built into the S/4HANA installed within the system. New line items, reporting transaction that allow aggregating data on the fly, and many others. So there are a lot of new functionalities, and when SAP creates something new for its ERP system, it does that only for S/4HANA. For the old system, it's not developed and anything any longer. What is most visible for the user is the entirely new interface, SAP Fiori HTML5 user interface. And what's important in the newest version, accessible for a few months, is over 7,000 transactional and analytical applications that are accessible and that can be used instead of the older user interface called SAP GUI. So the user can do without SAP GUI only with internet browser access to SAP. Of course, there is some ready-to-use SAP Fiori applications, but SAP gives also possibility to create its own customary own Fiori applications, and especially analytic application creation is very easy, and there are special tools to some reporting and new query designer, query browser, Fiori app, designed to create reports for any SAP module inside ERP system, or KPI modeling tools that allow to create easily KPI tiles that can be attached to user interface. And last but not least is that SAP has new new methodology of implementation that is including some testing of predefined system customization, and SAP gives a lot of predefined best practices. These are sets of customizing entry that the user can download from SAP website and put into their system. For example, for testing functionality, for playing with it before really introducing a new functionality. So it's easier to take decision on the implementation in the implementation time. So here is the new SAP S/4HANA methodology called SAP Activate. So you can use trial at the beginning. You can either use 15 days free trial from accessible via website from SAP, or you can buy for a longer time access to template system that you can play with and learn new modules, new functionalities of new system. And of course, a solution manager is a tool that helps to prepare implementation project is also inside the new methodology. As I said, the new Simplified customizing can be done with the use of best practices. This can be downloaded from the SAP website. The user chooses the right functionality, chooses the code, and then SAP sends the files that can be introduced to SAP system with the transactions and BW, so that the implementation can be quicker. You can use some defined templates. Okay, that's in a short everything about S/4HANA. What about BW for HANA? BW is really performant. It's really built on HANA platform. It's really built with the use of 100% HANA platform. It's simplified. The number of data providers, for example, so the components and store data is reduced from 9 to 3 in the version of data warehouse. So it's much easier to administrate the system and to change anything if the user needs something to be changed. What's more important when you model something BW for HANA on the administrator level, a bit abstract level, then the system database view, HANA database views. So it's really very easy to access the data from an external tool via SQL queries on the database level. Since everything you model in BW HANA will be represented as database views as well. Since data warehouses can be really large, it can be terabytes of data. With BW for HANA, SAP extends its notion of data temperature. So some data are called cold data, hardware access can be stored on disk instead of storing them in memory, and only when required loading to memory. But what's more important is management of the data temperature is really easy, so that the user can decide that, for example, data older than 5 years is moved from warm to cold data, and it doesn't need much from the administration point of view, much effort to move the data between various temperatures, and therefore we can create really big BW data warehouses that are really performant, yet some of the data is rather used, it's stored on this. There are also new reporting tools for BW for HANA. So reporting via a web browser is done with the new Design Studio. That's the collection of SAP Lumira tool Design Studio. And in reporting text, we can use SAP Analysis for hosts. And additionally, existing cloud options and business objects in the cloud, not for reporting. Okay, so to put it into one diagram, what's most important about the new product is the simplification. Data inside the product is simplified. SAP got rid of the structures where we built over the years and simplified the product. One of the output of the simplification is the performance. Of course, the performance was also gained through introduction of SAP in-memory processing in SAP HANA. So there are two factors for performance boosts. One is simplification and one is SAP HANA introduction. Of course, there are some new functionalities, especially in ERP side as HANA, built into new product. There are some new interfaces, for example, all data interface and new standards used throughout the system. And there is a new user interface, SAP Fury 5 based user interface. It's a huge difference for the end user, so it replaces the old SAP GUI that really looked a bit back into the 90s, I would say. So the new user interface is really more modern and also powerful, and I'll present it later on. Okay, so let's start perhaps with SAP Fury. As I said, there is about 7,000 transactions accessible in the newest S/4HANA system, accessible with SAP Fury interface. And let's have a look at the live system on this transactions. As you can see, SAP Fury interface is based on tiles. I have user roles here. As a user, I have several roles in my company. The tiles are grouped into the roles, and the tiles are a way to start the transaction, but also to present some data. Some of the tiles can present some numbers, and for example, other key when I should take some action. Let's look at general ledger as financial statement, for example. As you can see here, I have all the data from the financial statement here. All accounts are in one gathered in one hierarchy. But of course, I can switch to balance sheet view, and I can see on the balance sheet data, or profit and loss as well. And when I'm, for example, interested in sales revenue, I can see the current value of the period balance from my period and compare it to my comparison period. Of course, the variances are sometimes very interesting. And I can go for down to separate account level, and on the account level I can go further, for example, to display line items for the account. And from here I could display an accounting document as well. I will return back to my main screen and perhaps show something from something interesting as well from the receivables area. I'm interested in overdue receivables. So I can see the receivables that not overdue, but are overdue between 1 to 30 days and so on. And perhaps these are most important, the most overdue receivables. I can check, for example, switch to see what customers have invoices that cause these receivables. I can see this customer has a lot of overdue receivables. I can select this customer and, for example, see the line items connected to these receivables. And from here, I can do also several actions. For example, I can post incoming payments for this line item. Let's put anything into my amount. I don't remember what was the real value of this line item, but let's check it. And then I can simulate the payment for this line item I wanted to do the payment for. And of course I can post the payment as well. Okay, so you have seen that the transactions, the new SAP Fiori transactions provided by SAP, which are not just anything done quickly without deep understanding of SAP system. They really work as the old SAP transactions, so you can jump from one to the other, from an overview to the line items, from the line items to processing each of line items, from the line item to overview of documents, and so on and so on. So they are really interconnected. When you are inside one of the application, you can jump and do some other actions in the system with other SAP Fiori applications. That's really powerful, and that works in the version S4 HANA 1610 quite good, and a lot of transactions provided with as a standard transaction. Okay, I presented some examples from the financials area, but let's look how this is done in the logistic area. Let's take procurement, for example. I will create a purchase order in the new S4 HANA system. To make it quicker, I'll use one predefined info record. So purchasing info record stores all the data. If I order something repetitively, I can create an info record and then make a purchase order quicker because almost all the data can be filled by the system instead of filling them manually. So I'll use such an info record to purchasing to create purchase order. Of course, as I said, everything is almost done automatically. I could perhaps change something. And of course, I can submit and create the purchase order. So purchase order was created. Let's say the delivery after some time is coming, and I should process the delivery then. Goods received. I can done it with reference to the purchase order. So as you see, the data from the purchase order is given here as the default. For example, if the goods received was for a smaller amount, I could put it here as well. But let's say everything is alright. I'll have to add a storage location when I install the product, and I can post the document. And what's important, the material document was already created. I can see the material document as well, material management document, and I can see the reference of the document. So there is a purchase order, the material document, and of course an accounting document was also created in the background. I can see the document and look for the line items and so on in the material document. Okay, we posted the goods receipt, and then we receive also an invoice, and the invoice should also be checked with the supplier invoice checking system, again the purchase order and the delivery. So I'll just put the number of the purchase order. So also everything almost is done for me. I should put the value of the invoice here. Of course, the value can be a bit different for many reasons, but let's say it's exactly as was ordered. So at the end we can check and post the supplier invoice. Okay, perhaps the subtext or something. So the supplier invoice value should be a bit greater than I put it here. So let's correct the document. Okay, now it seems to be okay. There is no balance, and we can post. And the invoice is posted, and for the time being is blocked for payment, but of course it depends on the customizing. Okay, so I showed quickly how the transaction can be interconnected, how you can use the new user interface to do exactly what you could have done in the old system. Perhaps in the new system it's sometimes a bit more convenient, more user-friendly for the user, but of course you can do all that you could have done in the old system with SAP GUI application here with the new SAP Fiori interface. What's also very important, I already spoke about it, are these smart business tiles. What it means is that these tiles showing in SAP Fiori interface can inform about some values and can have some reports connected to them, showing something when you click on them. And such a smart business tiles are already defined in a huge amount by SAP, so you can just add them to the user role and create some kind of CFO managerial cockpit for the end user, but you can create such tiles on your own. And perhaps I'll show it in one of our systems. So in fact, if you have a special role, then you can have this KPI manager role. Then you can create new KPIs definitions. And perhaps I'll create one tile very quickly, just to show how easily it can be done. In the beginning, one has to decide whether the value, whether it's better when the KPI has lower value or higher value, or whether it should be within a defined range. Then you can give some additional information about the owner, the person responsible for defining this KPI. Let's say I'll give my name. Then you have to assign the KPI to view in the SAP HANA database. I will not show how to create such a view, but it's really not a complex task to create such a view. And there are lots and thousands of such views already predefined by SAP, and you can just take one of them and use when creating your own KPI. I'll take some view from the purchasing area. And what I'm interested in is average delivery time. So my KPI will show average delivery time. And I would say that's it on the beginning screen of KPI definition. I can activate it. And then I can create some evaluation. I can say what, for example, is the optional. I'll just measure it within 360 days, the average delivery time. And let's say that the critical delivery time is 30 days, the warning is 20 days, and the target is 10 days. Okay, so I added some additional information to my measure definition. I'll activate it. Then I could go and create a drill down for drill down is something that will be run when I click the tile, the Smart Business tile. So for my KPI, I can configure a drill down. Let's say it will show the average delivery time by material group. My material group. Okay, let's keep it simple. I could add some other KPIs here as well and connect it to this. I could create several such presentations so that the user could switch between them when reporting on this data. But I will create a simple one. And normally I would perhaps add some filters as well for the data. But I'm doing it quickly. So it's done. So the last thing I have to do is to create a tile in the SAP Fiori interface. And there are predefined tiles for such smart business informational tiles. And I can just select one and perhaps add some additional. I could put it into one of the catalogs, so it's grouping tiles. I have this catalog added to my catalog, so when I add this tile, it will be visible in my tiles on my SAP Fiori screens. I could add how long it will be kept into cache. Now it's not cached, let's say 1 hour. Okay, and I have additional tile in my SAP Fiori interface. I can return back, go to my configuration, and I see an additional tile that's not connected to any tile group. I can connect it, and now when I go to my home screen, I'll see the tiles is here. It couldn't load the tile because I didn't give any parameters for the tile. For example, I didn't give any selections, for example, that took data from specific company code or something like that. But normally it would look like this, and if there were some data, it would show the average delivery time on, as the number here. Okay, let's return back to our presentation. And look at migration paths. There are several ones. If you have a really old system with a lot of customizing in it, with a lot of extensions, and the system has some parts that are not used anymore, for example, some processes were became obsolete with time. So sometimes it's good to make another implementation of SAP system so that the system could be refreshed. So one of the possibilities to implement S/4HANA is to do a new implementation, basing of course on the configuration of the old SAP ERP system. Let's say 99% of the customizing can be just reused in the new system. But with such a re-implementation, you can make use of new functionalities. For example, you can switch in some areas to the new functionalities accessible with S/4HANA, and of course get rid of the old customizing not needed anymore in your system. So sometimes, especially with a very huge system that you don't want to develop with time, that you want to refresh, it's wise to just do a brand new implementation with a new version of SAP HANA. Of course, such a project is costly, but using the old customizing can radically speed it up and make it not as costly as a new, fresh implementation would be. The other way around is to migrate the existing system to S/4HANA. And usually when the system is quite huge, you can do it in two steps. First, the technical migration to the ECC powered by SAP HANA, ECC on SAP HANA. So just the change in the database. And then in the second step, the functional change to SAP S/4HANA. For small systems, you can do it in one step, but it's, I would say, a bit more dangerous project because more things are changing at the same time and more issues are possible to turn up at the end. And the time window when the production system should be closed because of the technical migration of the database and then of migration of data in the tables inside can be quite long, so unacceptable for many companies. So usually larger companies will do such a migration at least in two steps. To make it simpler, I tried to prepare a graph helping you to decide how to implement a new S/4HANA system. So if you don't have any SAP system, just implement the new S/4HANA system. If you have a very large implementation of the S/4HANA system, then perhaps, especially when it's old and developed for several years, perhaps re-implementing will be the easiest and the most secure solution, as you won't have to you will have to test everything, and perhaps it will be also possible to get rid of some old solution. If you are a middle-sized company, then you perhaps do a migration in several steps, migration to SAP HANA platform and then to S4HANA system. And if you are a small company with a limited scope of implementation, then you can do the migration in one step. And as I written here, just check whether there are any restrictions to migrate to S4HANA. For example, some industry solutions cannot be migrated to S4HANA at the time being. So it's worth checking it beforehand, before deciding for such a project. And with BW for HANA, it's slightly different. In fact, BW for HANA, if you don't have it, you can migrate. If you already have a BW for HANA, you can migrate to BW powered by SAP HANA version 7.5. And this is the recommended path if you already have a BW system. As this version, BW powered by SAP HANA, is very powerful. It has almost everything that BW for HANA has, but is less restricted than the newest version. So it can also live with the old data flows, with the old reporting system. So it's backward compatible, and yet it has almost all the advantages of the newest SAP HANA BW system. So that's the recommended path for when you migrate an old BW system at the time being. And if you don't have a BW system, then if you have an ERP powered by SAP HANA, then you can use BW inside your S4HANA system called BW Embedded. So it's one of the possibilities. So not another BW system, but BW Embedded within SAP ERP. So it's possible when everything is on SAP HANA platform, then SAP says that the BW system can be on the same server as the ERP system. It doesn't have to be a separate server. But if the system is really, if the BW system is to be taking data mostly outside of SAP ERP system and is to be huge, perhaps just implement the SAP BW powered by SAP HANA version 7.5. Why am I not recommending BW for HANA? Because there are some cons that we learned about during our projects, and there are some cons against S4HANA as well. So S4HANA and BW for HANA are new products, so they are still developing. So for example, the S4HANA version that was released last year had only 300 Fiori apps, but now it has 7,000, the newest version that was made accessible a few months ago. So, for example, the new embedded analytics system, a new reporting system is added only recently with version 1610. And in the newest system there are huge changes in the logistic area, and this sometimes causes troubles when you, for example, implement this version 15.11. Then just a year after the implementation, you think whether you should just upgrade to the version 16.10 or stay within the old version. But the difference between these two versions is very huge, and a lot of users that implemented this version are a bit disappointed that they were told that this version is already mature but this version is so different and so better in many areas. But as I see it, this version 16.10, it's really a major one, so I can really recommend it to implement this version as it really has this huge amount of Fiori apps, so the user can really implement these Fiori apps instead of the SAP GUI. Has this analytics embedded, so the user can do final reporting inside ERP system with one reporting tool throughout the whole system. And yes, but there is a small surprise for the customers. A lot of built-in features of S/4HANA require new separate licenses. So SAP included something in the main, I would say, in the core solution, but the licensing is separate. So as I said, there is a new cache management, and the old cache management is made obsolete. But the new cache management required additional payment, licensing payment. The planning and consolidation is integrated throughout the whole S/4HANA system, but when you want to use it, you must pay additionally for business planning and consolidation. So for some user, it may be also very disappointing. But on the whole, S/4HANA is really worth recommending. S/4HANA version 16.10 is really major one, and it's really doing very well at our first client. As for BW for HANA, I would say it's not a really major product, major product, because it doesn't support at all the old data flow. So the whole data flow from the old BW needs to be migrated before migrating to this BW for HANA. And for huge BW systems, it can be a lot of work to migrate all the data flow, and not all of this work can be done automatically. And as well, the new reporting system is needed for BW for HANA, so some older reports will need to be migrated and sometimes manually. And BW for HANA does not support planning and business planning and consolidation at the moment. This functionality will be added in the future. So I would say BW for HANA, it's something for the future, but when you want to switch now for the new BW, just switch to BW powered by SAP HANA version 7.5. It has almost all the features of BW for HANA, but it keeps the backward compatibility with the older BW versions, and has also this planning and consolidation capability inside. So to sum up, I really recommend to move to S/4HANA, as this is a really major component. Both S/4HANA and BW for HANA are completely new products, entirely new and modern, performant and user-friendly, but S/4HANA is major, whereas BW for HANA, I would say you should wait for a year or two until it becomes really major. And for the time being, I recommend SAP BW powered by SAP HANA 7.5. As BTC, we have a lot of experience with SAP HANA platform. We started when SAP started pushing it to the clients. So back in 2013, we started to train our consultants. We did some proof of concept project for our clients, customers, and we made first in Poland and 15 in the world SAP ERP migration project to SAP HANA database of both SAP ERP and BW systems. And we had as the first Polish SAP partner our own SAP HANA platform that we could show demo and teach our consultants on. We have our outsourcing center prepared for SAP HANA system, and we are already hosting some SAP HANA systems. We are migrating now a few systems to SAP BW powered by SAP HANA. For example, we did such a migration for Polish biggest railway transport company. We have implemented reporting based on accessing directly SAP HANA platform based on SAP HANA Live solution. We implement business planning and consolidation version 10.1, so a version embedded that can be used only on SAP HANA for multinational tobacco company. We are migrating some Business One system to SAP HANA, and we are also making S/4HANA implementations. One of them was already started productively in January 27th, 2017 at one of our customers in the clothes industry in Poland. So we are really experienced in this area, and we can propose you a lot of services connected to SAP HANA, starting from training and workshops through installation, migrations, implementations, and doing reporting, planning on SAP HANA, and of course outsourcing and keeping your system at our faculties. Okay, that's it from my side. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat or questions window. If you don't, that's it. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.